Hey everyone, we had some minor technical difficulties, so I'm starting all over again. I'm Vickie Howell. This is Ask Me Monday, a weekly live feed where I come on and I do tutorials and demonstrations, tips in the craft genre, a lot of knitting, crochet, and working with cool tools. And this episode is sponsored by our friends at Makers Mercantile. They're a really great space, both online and physical space, where you can go and or order online anything for knitting and crocheting, sewing, embroidery, gifts, all kinds of awesome stuff, including the tool that they've sent me for today's demo, which is the AddiExpress King Knitting Machine. Super fun. I got to play with it over the weekend, and I showed a little teaser photos, and there were many comments and discussion about it, and I'm going to try and address most of those. Oh wait, I'm getting those weird faces again. Does that mean that my voice is doing the weird thing? All right, well, let me know if it happens. So I'm going to be doing a demonstration of this first. I've got my son Tanner here, who's home from school. He's going to help me with some of the camera work because the tripod doesn't really work to get these angles. I'm going to get that out of the way first so I can then let him go, and then we'll talk about any of your questions about this machine. Okay, so let's talk about it. Let's dive right in. I'm going to switch over. This is that part where you just have to talk amongst yourself while we switch the camera angle. All right, so this is the machine. It's really nice size. It looks a lot like a knitting loom would look, only it's got a little turn crank that makes it different. When you first get it out of the box, you want to make sure to attach the legs. It's pretty self-explanatory. So oh, those looks are wows. Okay, thank you for clarifying. So you just screw these in. So pretty self-explanatory. I will show you, though, that it's important that you work on a table that's flat, you've got a nice even surface, and that has a lip, because you don't want your machine hopping all over the place. Things will fall off of it. Your yarn won't go well at all. So to do that, you just take the little clamp and you just tighten it. Really, really easy. There's two of them, so both the front legs. Okay. So I see somebody saying they love the color block scarf behind me. That was actually made on this machine, and it's gorgeous in person. It's made with baby alpaca, and I'll talk about that in a second. Okay, once you have these all clamped, it's ready to go. So you can go ahead and let's show. All right, so I'm gonna show how you can work either in the round or back and forth. Because we're shooting this live, I'm not gonna show you both ways because I only have the one machine, and it would take me a long time to get the piece off and recast on the yarn. So I'm just gonna show you the in the round way. The first thing that you need to do is you need to make sure that this lever is pulled down. If it's pulled up, it's for flat knitting. They call it plain knitting in the AddiExpress world. For round, this needs to be down. Okay, after that, we're gonna grab our yarn. You wanna pull out a tail and just go ahead and show them inside. And you just wanna have a length so that it, like in the center of the table, touches the table, if that makes sense. Then, you're gonna turn the crank and make sure that you get to this first black needle. These are called needles, these little hooks things. And the black ones indicate the beginning and the end of the row, the stopping points. So we're gonna start by casting on the yarn. So the first thing that we do is we just lay the yarn across that first needle, and we're gonna slowly turn the crank. And then we wanna go behind the next one, and then in front of the one after that. And from here, we're gonna be alternating back and forth. And it's really important that you make sure that these catch the little hooks. And there's no need to rush this part. This is kind of the foundation for your entire project. So take your time. Oops, this one didn't go behind, so I'm just going to take my finger and do it manually. until all of the hooks have been covered. Okay, so I'm back to my black one. You can see I'm going to go around this white one, and then I need to put the yarn through the threader. So to do that, I'm going to push to open, and you can either go halfway or you can go through the entire threader. Can you show them that? They give you the option, and the option, really the only difference is that it depends on the yarn that you're using, which one helps it glide through smoothly, the most smooth. So, the smoothest. So you might have to play around with that. I practiced with this yarn earlier, and I found that the halfway mode was a little bit easier for this particular yarn. Oh, you know what I meant to show you? There's also this gauge. I'm not going to be using it now, but there's a gauge that will count all of the rounds. And so I didn't clear it out or anything, but you would just hold it down for about 2 to 3 seconds and it'll clear it and then start. So this would only matter if you were working on a project that you were making a sweater or something that you really needed to know what the rows are. If you're making a cowl, you can kind of just eye it. Okay, from here, you just turn the crank. Can you show my hand turning too? This first round especially, I feel the most comfortable taking it pretty slow. But then as you get going, you can really literally just crank it out. So I know a couple of you were wondering, why do this if since you love hand knitting so much, why would you do this? Is this cheating? What's the point kind of thing? And I just wanted to speak a little to that. So for me personally, I don't think it's a competition. I think that you can love hand knitting and you can also love using a knitting machine. I just get excited by different ways to manipulate yarn. So, maybe one day I'm in a hand knitting mood, maybe one day I'm in a crochet mood, maybe I'm in a weaving mood, or maybe I want to use this machine. So I sort of don't see them as mutually exclusive. I definitely think that it's a benefit to use this if you were making, let's say you were making a bunch of hats for your Etsy store or for gifts. This would really help make it realistic for you to finish projects for the holidays or for, a craft show or whatever. It's also really great if you need big panels for anything. If you're yarn bombing something, or if you're making a sweater or anything where it's just a lot of stockinette stitch so it can get a little boring to make, this is a great way to churn it out. And I'm going to show you this cool book that kind of surprised me, honestly, because I, like everyone else, just assumed that you could just do things with tubes. But there's some great, beautiful projects in there. Okay, so you would just continue, I think you get the idea, until you are all the way to the black needles. Okay, we're right there. And then I'm going to reach across, grab this. The machine comes with a tapestry needle. So casting off is not so much casting off with this as it is it's called a sewn bind off. I'm just getting about, I don't know, doubling the length around it. You would cut it. Here's what I've been doing a little reading on this. So if you're making a hat and you want to cinch it, this is a great method to use, because really all you're doing is weaving the yarn in. I should have probably, hold on. I'm going to start with this one. Actually, no, I'm not. Okay, so you just want to scoop from front to back first and thread the yarn in. And then the next one, you want to come the opposite way. Can you see? I know that's hard to see. Yeah, there we go. So then you're going to come the opposite way. So then you're just going to alternate all the way around. So this will finish it off for sure. You can already see Can you get in there? You can already see it starting to come off. And you would just do this all the way around. I will say though, you know, as I was mentioning before, it's not giving a finished stitch. So it's great if you wanted to pull, you can kind of see, I know it's only 2 stitches, but you can kind of see that cinches it, which is great for a hat. But for an edging, I actually recommend, as does the book, that you use this as only a waste yarn. You take it off and then you old school style place all of those loops on a circular needle and bind off the good old-fashioned way with knitting needles, and then remove this yarn. It just depends on the project that you're making. And this will work for a basic cowl. My daughter made one yesterday. I'll show you in a second. And it was fine. It's just not as clean and pretty. Okay, I'm going to take this away from Tanner. Thank you, sir. And flip it back over so that we can talk a little more about it. I think we're good. Thank you, Tan. All right. So really easy. I was really excited about a couple things about it. First of all, I've worked with a lot of knitting machines, not a lot. I've worked with several knitting machines in the past, and the learning curve is usually rather large for them. This one, it didn't really seem to be that difficult. And also there was no muscle that I had to put into it. I was really surprised with how easy the yarn moved through the machine. So that was good. I also, you know, was really excited. This is just a side mommy note. So my children are not interested in knitting. My daughter could not be less interested. I think probably, if we're being honest, it's because they associate it with me and working, and they see me stressed out on deadlines. But she was super enamored with this machine and sat down and made herself a little cowl yesterday. And she wanted to make sure that you all saw this and that I told you that she made it. She made a little cowl in yarn yesterday in, like, you know, 5 minutes. And it was such an awesome, I don't know, just like a sense of accomplishment. And it was exciting to me because, as obviously, you know, I'm a knitter. I was really excited to see her excited about something to do with yarn. So I think that if you look at it that way, if you look at it as an opportunity for another way to work with yarn and manipulate yarn, then, you know, you can kind of step back from the comparing it to hand knitting, because it's not the same. I think the other, another comment that I saw that I think that there's great merit to it is, oh, I never like the way that things look like that are knit on looms, which is basically the same look or same idea as this. And I think honestly, a lot of the times is because the projects out there thus far have been maybe not as of high quality of yarn. And no disrespect to craft yarn, obviously, like I've had my own, like they're great. But I think that, like with anything else, if you elevate the level of the craft, if you elevate the level of materials you're using. So this scarf, like this is when I wish we had Feel-O-Vision. This is an amazing scarf, and it's made with the pack of yarn that comes for free when you buy this machine. You can get it at makersmercantile.com. It's $239, but then you get anywhere between $60 and $95, depending on which type of yarn you choose, worth of yarn for free. So you know, it's kind of like a gift. Anyway, so this was made, this is just a long tube, but it is beautiful. Like, this does not look like a kitschy crafty project at all, right? But you can see that you can't, I mean, don't tell her, but this does look a little more kitschy crafty, right? But it's materials, and it's also the attention to detail. This one was carefully grafted, it looks like, using Kitchener stitch probably, which you would just place, you know, the ends on a couple of circular needles and then you know, call it a day. Here's another one. Not entirely, I think this is just to show the palette. This is Kensington. I actually have a crochet kit in this yarn right now. I love this yarn. But the reason why I wanted to show you is, well, that's not a good end, is that this is what it looks like when you pull all the stitches and create that top hat. So, I mean, honestly, you can get some really nice looking stuff. The other thing that I thought was cool is they sent me this book called Winding Not Knitting. It's going to be backwards because of the selfie camera. Sorry, there's nothing I can do about that. And I was really surprised. Of course, there's the circular cowls. Of course, there's the plain hat. But there's also, because you can knit flat, check out this sweater. I was kind of surprised. This is made on the machine. You can make the flat panels. Isn't that cool? Like, so there's a bunch of different things that you can make. You know, I was actually going to show you, well, I already started binding off. I was going to show you how to change colors, and I forgot to do that. But I can always come back and I can always show you how to work flat pieces and join colors in a separate video. Just write it in the comments section or go to makersmercantile.com and tell them that you would love to see me do another stream using this, showing new techniques. Let them know that you're into it. All right, let's talk yarn. All right, so you get, you know what, I'm gonna flip it around. Hold on one second. You get all of this. I don't know if you've used the Simply Kriya yarn, the haiku yarn, but it is delightful. It is baby, super baby alpaca, and you get, it's $10 a ball, and you get everything that you see here, all 6 of these balls, as part of the deal when you buy the machine for free. Like, this is just it for free. And it is lovely. It is really lovely. Oh, Chris is saying that she uses these type of hats, she knits for homeless, and which is great because it, you know, helps churn things out fast. So anyways, super great deal. Let's also tell some of the questions you had as well. And then I'm going to try and scroll through and see if there's any other questions. Okay, so from Instagram, I had a question that said, from CJC Knits, she wanted to know if you can use fingering weight yarn with this and if you would get the proper tension. So the answer to that question is you can use it, but the tension won't change. There's not a way to adjust tension on this machine. So it will be very open weave. It'll have a very open weave look. So if you're going with that, then yes. Another thing that this machine is really great for is if you're felting. I don't know if any of you ever work with felting, but I would use a worsted weight yarn with it so that the holes will be nice and big, and, you know, 100% wool. And then after that, you can felt it in the machine or whatever. It's perfect for that because really that's the fun part of a felting project, is doing the actual felting. So this gets all that stockinette out of the way. And you can you know, even work in a circle and then felt the piece, and then you can cut the felt into any shape that you want because it's felted, right? So really fun. Rita wants to know if I'm going to run the video again. It will automatically get posted on Facebook, and I will also upload it on YouTube after this as well, so you can rewatch it. Okay, we had another question on Facebook wanting to know why she had some drop stitches using her machine. So there's a couple things that could have happened. It's possible that she went too fast and, you know, something kind of jumped and off. You actually can pick up the stitches the same way that you would with a regular hand knit piece. It's a little precarious, so you've got to take it slow. But if you have like a crochet hook or a stitch pickup tool, you can kind of weave them and make it happen. But the other thing that might be happening is that your needle might be bent. It happens sometimes with wear and tear, and you might just need to change out one of the hook needles. You get those replacements as part of the package when you buy it. And then, and I'll post this in the show notes area, there's actually a helpline that you can call if you need help replacing it or you have any questions. So I'll go ahead and post that as well. The last question from the boards that I have written down, at least, is if I want to make a poncho or a shawl or anything, will my edges curl? The answer is yes, because this machine knits in stockinette stitch. Stockinette stitch always curls. But much like I suggest you binding off on circular needles, taking the piece off, removing the waste yarn, binding off, I also recommend churning out that stockinette stitch on the machine and then placing the piece on needles, and you could do any kind of decorative border that you wanted. So then it suddenly becomes almost a mixed media. Well, it's still yarn, but a mixed tool media project, which is loads of fun. And, you know, it just adds another dimension of it.